Welcome to What a Creep, the show with Margo Sonia and Sonia Mansfield talking about creeps from the past to the present.
This is your quick guide to the biggest creeps, jerks, assholes, and losers, the best of the worst.
From two nice ladies who want the world to be a little less creepy.
Welcome back to What a Creep. This is Margo Donahue, and my sleepy cohort in creepitude is the amazing Sonia Mansfield. Hello, my sleepy friend. We got a
Hello,
shingles
my friend.
vaccine.
I've been quite drowsy this week, but I have had caffeine, and I'm ready to talk about these creeps.
This is season 17. Woo!
I can't believe it.
If you are new to the show, normally we're not yawning. Normally. We are the show that talks about creeps from the past to the present. Today we do something a little bit differently. Sometimes we like to talk about a quartet of creeps. We pick 4 creeps from the same sort of subject topic. And today it's a rock creep. We did this a couple of years ago. People really like that. So we have 4 creeps today in the rock world. Are you ready to rock, y'all?
We're ready to rock.
Episode 2. I sound like Dabney Coleman in the Dragnet movie.
That needs to move up. Oh
movie.
my God, that needs to move up the list. Maybe next week we could do Dragnet.
Anyway, you could find us on Facebook. We have a basic Facebook page, but that's just a place where people go to complain about our language. We do use salty language in this program.
Fuck yeah.
We are most interactive in our Facebook group. It is a private group. You do have to ask to join in, but it's a nice place to hang out. Go to Facebook and type in What a Creep Podcast and ask to join. It's 3 little questions, and then you can come on in and join us there. You can also find us on Twitter. It's at CreepPod because somebody had What a Creep on Twitter for 10 years and never used it.
Creep.
And we also have Instagram, What a Creep Podcast, and we have an old-timey email, whatacreeppodcast@gmail.com. Just spell that all out. And if you would like some stickers, ask for stickers. We will send them wherever you are on the planet of Earth. Believe me, we are both actively looking for other places to live. Should that ever be a possibility, so we don't have to get so many goddamn shots to live here. But until then, also, that's a great place to send us suggestions for creeps and also creeps. We're always looking for suggestions. And Sonia, do you want to tell them about our website?
Yes, you can go to whatacreeppodcast.com, and it's everything you ever wanted to know about our show, but we're afraid to ask. It has links to all of our episodes, and every episode has links to our sources because we source every single episode. We're not just pulling this out of our ass. We want to give credit where credit is due to the hardworking reporters out there. So if you are wondering where we got that information, it's on the website. There's also a link to our merch shop. The holidays will be here before you know it, my friends. Get yourself some t-shirts, some tote bags, some journals, face masks. Those aren't going anywhere. We've got all kinds of good stuff on there, so please do it. I know the Damn It Max mug seems to do very well. I guess everyone's got a Max in their life. There's also a link to our Patreon page. Would you like to tell them about that, Margo?
Yes, it's Patreon. We have our first 4 seasons of shows up there. We're going to put season 5 pretty soon. So if you're interested in our early episodes, that's what you do. You go to Patreon. We have 3 very affordable options. We also put out 2 bonus episodes. I forgot to mention, Sonia, we need to book those for this month.
Yes!
And then we also put out a newsletter, and Sonia's really amazing about writing the newsletter.
Thank you, friend.
But we also do want to say, and we want to thank Taylor and Laditra for signing up for our Patreon. I think I pronounced her name correctly last time, so Laditra, thank you. And if I said it wrong, very sorry. I will try again next time. We're both I got my flu shot. She got her sleepy shot. So
yeah, just be thankful it's Margo trying to pronounce your name.
I'm usually okay at it. But no, we do really appreciate you all for supporting us because, like we said, we have to pay for all these sources for the show because we do try to be as accurate as possible.
Yes,
that is what we want to be entertaining, but we also want to be accurate. We were talking about human beings, people with families, people with all kinds of relationships and friends and stuff like that. So we want to be as accurate as humanly possible.
Yes,
so thank you for helping us to do that. And what else did I forget, Sonia? What else do we need to talk about? What else do we put at the top of the show? iTunes. That's also a place where, let's say, look, if money's tight, we totally get that.
Yeah.
If you could just leave us a review wherever you get your podcast. We know we do very well on Good Pods. We love it when you guys like us there, but also on iTunes. And I just want to say hi to Podcast Expert 13, who said that they left us a 1-star review by accident, but they put it back to 5 stars, and they're very upset about that. Totally fine. Look, we get it. But wherever you get your podcast, or just, tell a friend about the show.
Yeah.
Or ask for a sticker, put it on your laptop, go to the coffee shop and look cool. Whatever.
Yeah. We'll take it.
We'll take it. Share on social media, whatever. We're just happy that you're here.
Exactly. Good call. Do that.
Alrighty. So this is going to be a Quartet of Creeps. I guess that's perfect because it's a music term.
And I don't get it.
My dad used to listen to the Modern Jazz Quartet. That's what I always think of, the MJQ. My dad would say, "Oh, let's put on NPR. Maybe they have the MJQ on the jazz station." Like, okay, Dad, you're so cool.
My dad does not listen to that. I think he listens to right-wing talk radio.
Really?
I think so.
Doesn't he like classic rock?
He does like some classic rock and country music.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's his jam.
We play both kinds, country and Western. That's your Blues Brothers reference for the day.
I just watched that with my son last week. It played very well with him.
Today we are talking about Ryan Adams. This caused some very hard feelings, by the way, in our Facebook group. Some people needed to lay down. I think we said it ahead of time just to give people a chance to break themselves.
Actually, both of my creeps were... I take no pleasure in this. I'll just say that.
But, let's say this. We like a lot of some of the creeps we talk about sometimes. We think they're very talented, or smart, or they've done something interesting or whatever.
Yes.
We understand that people are complicated, and especially artists and musicians, you can really like somebody's work and not know who the hell they are in real life. And then all of a sudden, boom, you find out something about them. Yeah. And this, so once again, so let me start again. Ryan Adams, Arcade Fire's Win Butler, Ike Turner. Gee, I wonder what that's going to be about. And we're going to finish with Morrissey. So, Sonia. Our trigger warnings today are domestic violence and sexual assault. Is there anything else in there I should?
Well, we're going to get to Morrissey, so racism.
Okay, and racism. All right. So let's begin with Ryan Adams. Sonia, you start.
Yeah. All right. Sources for Ryan Adams: The Age, LA Magazine, The New York Times, Variety. There is a YouTube video of it's actually a recording of Ryan Adams leaving a shitty voicemail for a music critic, and of course our good friends at Wikipedia. So Ryan Adams is a singer-songwriter. He's a record producer, an artist. He has written poems. He's released 21 albums, including 3 with as part of the rock alt country band Whiskey Town. I do not know Whiskey Town, but I'm sure they're great. He's also produced albums for Willie Nelson and Fall Out Boy, and he's done work with the Counting Crows, Weezer, Norah Jones, America. I didn't know they still recorded. We are big fans of this person here, Minnie Driver, and the Cowboy Junkies. He's also written a couple books of poems, one called Infinity Blues and another one called Hello Sunshine. Very busy, prolific artist. He's also an asshole who abuses his position in the music business to manipulate women. My favorite. So let's quickly start at the beginning. David Ryan Adams was born November 5th, 1974 in Jacksonville, North Carolina. His father left his mother and the kids when Ryan was 5. His mother and his siblings had to move in with his grandparents because they were homeless as a result of the divorce. So awful.
Awful.
At the age of 8, Adams he was writing short stories and on his grandmother's typewriter. I included that because I also started writing at a very young age on my mother's old school typewriter. It wasn't even, and then I asked for an electric typewriter. Ooh, an electric typewriter. How fancy. So at 14, Ryan Adams started learning to play electric guitar, and he joined a local band called Blank Label. He dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. He would have been 16, and he was in a number of local bands. So one was called the Patty Duke Syndrome. I think we all know I love band names. I'm always like, that'd be a great band name. That'd be a great band. Patty Duke Syndrome. It's the only reason I included this. After that band broke up, he helped found the Whiskey Town, and that band did pretty well. It was a critical success, but they broke up after a few years, and that's when Ryan Adams went solo. Critics liked him, but he wasn't super popular. But then he recorded a song called New York, New York, and he filmed the video in front of the city skyline, and it was right before September 11th. So the skyline was totally different, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously. And then September 11th happens, and the video got very popular because it was filmed right before. And that's kind of what put him on the map in mainstream music minds. And it was kind of shortly after that he started getting shitty, started acting like a jerk. So there's this story about he was performing at a concert in Nashville. This would have been October 2002. And I'm sure he gets this a lot, but someone in the audience yelled out, "Play Summer of '69," which is a Bryan Adams song. Yes, very original. It's the equivalent of yelling, "Play Freebird" at a concert. Anyway, Ryan Adams did not like this joke, reacted by swearing up a storm, ordered the house lights to be turned on, found out the fan who made the joke, refunded him his money, and kicked him out, and would not play another note until the fan was removed.
Wow.
Seems a little excessive, just saying. Ryan Adams says that the audience member was asked to leave because he was drunk, but reporters for the Tennessean were there, and they were like, that's not what happened. So nice try, Ryan Adams. He also, so there was a very famous critic, or he's still a famous critic, I should say. His name is Jim DeRogatis. Anyway, he's the same reporter who uncovered the stuff about R. Kelly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. In Chicago?
Yes. So this critic went to one of Ryan Adams' shows, wrote a bad review, and then Ryan Adams called him.
Meaning he didn't like the show.
He didn't like the show. He said that it wasn't like he didn't show up and say his music is shitty or anything. The performance was he's not good. He was acting like a dick. The music wasn't good. He kept playing the same song over and over different ways, thinking he was funny, I guess, but instead people were bored. So Ryan Adams left a voicemail for him, saying all these very shitty things. And I'm like, look, nobody likes bad reviews.
No.
We get bad reviews. Who cares? We don't. We're not Ryan Adams. Who cares?
Yeah. At one point in your career, you either read them or you don't read them. And a lot of people say they just don't even read, even the good reviews. They just kind of, just give me an idea, the gist of it. And then.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of weird reviewing a concert, especially if it already happened.
Yeah. It's still a thing. Lady Gaga was here a couple weeks ago, and I read the reviews because I was like, I'm bummed I missed it.
Right.
So I know it's a thing, but Yeah, I don't know. It is kind of weird. I don't even know if people review concerts so much anymore. Not little shows, right? It's usually like big.
Unfortunately,
It's the Lady Gagas, the Beyoncés, the Taylor Swifts.
Well, those shows, I should say, I don't want to put anybody out of business. I mean, people pay a lot of money to go to these shows, so I get it. It is a sort of a service. Like, all right, you go to a show, this is what's going to happen when you get there. This is an idea of what you're going to get. So I take it back. Yeah, it is a service. So
yeah, so that happened. Also, there is a show on BBC called Songwriters Circle, and Ryan Adams was asked to go on with Janice Ian and Neil Finn. And Neil Finn, I believe, is from Crowded House.
yes, he is.
So
Something so strong.
yeah, I used to love Crowded House. Ooh. So Ryan Adams acted like a fucking diva when he was there. He refused to participate in some of the group numbers. And he was actually spotted like packing up his equipment during the final songs that Janice and Neil were performing together.
He interrupted Janice Ian?
Yes.
At 17's Janice Ian?
Yes.
Fuck this guy. My mother loved Janice Ian, by the way.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Fuck him.
So he denied any bad behavior. He's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm totally, I wasn't supposed to perform in that number, blah, blah, blah. And then Janice was like, that's actually not true. She's like, she said that he was like super narcissistic. Like that, he was totally self-absorbed. There was this thing where she said that he said, I write 4 or 5 songs a day and they just pour out of me.
Oh, whatever.
And he's the most unprepared person on earth, and he likes it that way he sells out every theater in like 30 seconds and like just bragging about himself, about how awesome he is. And like he was like one of the most like pompous people she's ever worked with.
And she's been in the business for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I have to say that in 45 years as a professional performer, I've never seen that kind of behavior before.
Wow.
What a prick.
Yeah.
So here's where he starts getting real pricky. So Ryan Adams meets Mandy Moore in 2007.
And she's adorable.
Go ahead. She's adorable. Everybody drink. We love her.
Yeah.
She was 23 at the time. He's 33 at the time. She's at this crossroads in her career. Like, she's moving on from like the teen pop thing, and his reputation is very like sensitive, authentic voice, artistic credibility that she craved. She wanted that sort of thing. They start a romantic relationship very quickly after they meet. In their time together, she released 1 album that they completed during that marriage. I don't think she's recorded again since then. So sorry. Married in 2008. By 2010, she parts way with her music manager at Ryan Adams' suggestion, and he discourages her from working with any other producers or managers. And basically, it just puts himself in charge of her music career. She says they wrote songs together that he promised to record. They never did. He would book time at the studio and then replace her with other female artists.
No.
And that he would lash out at her, and he was psychologically abusive. She said that he constantly lorded his quote-unquote artistic accomplishments over her, and he would tell her that she wasn't really a musician, or she wasn't really an artist because she doesn't play an instrument.
An asshole.
He's a total prick. She never recorded another album. Like I said, she said his controlling behavior essentially did block my ability to make new connections in the industry during a pivotal and potentially lucrative time for me. That was her entire mid to late 20s. Mm-hmm. Like it's interesting because we talk about how women like will have children and we go on maternity leave, and like some women don't go back to work and they take care of their kids, and then when their kids go to school, they want to go back to work. And this is why a lot of women make less, right? Because we're out of the workforce and now we're back and we just take what we can get and stuff like that. Here's someone who gave up a chunk of her time to be in this marriage, and she wasn't able to like make those new connections and grow her career. She's doing very well acting.
Oh yeah. Well, what's the name of the show that she was on? It was on NBC for
This
years.
Is Us.
This is Us.
Us.
And it did
Yeah.
very well for her. And
Yes.
I mean, she used to be, when I worked at YM magazine, she was on our cover a couple of times, and the editors always said, she's so lovely and so sweet and so nice and very talented, and should have, look, nobody's guaranteed a career in show business.
Correct.
I mean, it's tough, but
yeah,
that's just some bullshit he's putting on her.
Yeah, and you'll see, it's his thing. So in February 2019, the New York Times did a big story, and they interviewed 7 women, including Mandy Moore and singer Phoebe Bridgers. And basically his thing was he would offer to assist women with their music careers, and then he would pursue them romantically. And then when they reject him, he damages their career and he harasses them on social media. This is his thing. So Phoebe Bridgers was 20 when she met Adams, so he would have been probably in his 40s at this point. And he invites her to the studio to record. They perform a couple songs together, and he's just blown away by her. He gives her a gift. He gives her like a fancy, like vintage guitar, and asks her to come back and record the next day. And she said that he quickly started sending like flirty texts, and like they started a romance. They got involved at that point. And she said that less than a week into their relationship, he was trying to get her to marry him. This is love. I think this is love bombing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was insisting that she open up for him on the road. And I should make it clear, like, it would be a big deal for any artist to open up for Ryan Adams on the road, because he had his own label. It was Pax AM label, and that was connected to Capitol Music Group, major music label. And a slot like that in front of a sold-out crowd is a huge thing for these younger artists. So he loves to dangle that in front of people, and he did it to her. And so that went on it was only just a couple weeks. And the weeks that followed, he started getting like obsessive and emotionally abusive. He began harassing her with texts, insisting that she prove her whereabouts. No. He would demand that she leave like social situations to have phone sex with him, and then would threaten suicide if she didn't reply immediately. Not cool. Yeah. So she broke up with him. And then, of course, after that, like any music that she recorded with him, all of a sudden he doesn't want to release it. He rescinded the offer for her to open up for him on tour. She said that after their breakup, he continued to dangle stuff in front of her, like offering her a tour date, dangling, releasing the music that they recorded together. Eventually, she did accept, like, to open for him on some dates, because it's a big opportunity, and she had a new album, like her debut album was coming out, so she took it. But she wasn't happy about it. And then eventually, like, 3 songs by her were released by his label finally. And that's when the industry started paying attention to her. But then the media gave Adams all the credit for her work, and he didn't, of course, dispute that. And then so she goes on tour with him, and he immediately like asks her to go to his hotel room, and she went up there and he was nude.
Ugh.
Yeah. Gross. 2 additional female singer-songwriters who the New York Times did not identify said the exact same thing happened to them, that he would rave about their work, offer them tour spots, pursue them aggressively. They would break up with him. he would harass them. Professional retaliation ensues. That's his thing.
That's a shitty thing.
It's a super shitty thing. He did it again to another woman named Megan Butterworth. She was actually engaged to him at one point, and she described him as controlling and emotionally abusive. And he was targeting her on social media, like harassing her there and sending all of his followers to harass her.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, super cool. And then it gets worse, y'all. He was chatting with one of his fans online. This was in 2013. She was 14.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and she liked to play bass. She was a bass player. They were chatting on Skype. They did video calls. She said it started at first it was about music, and then it turned into like sexting, and that he would like expose himself to her on camera. He in text would ask her about her age, and sometimes she would say that she was older than she was. But he didn't seem very convinced. Like, the New York Times has all the records for this, by the way. He would say, like, I would get in trouble if someone knew we talked like this. And he even said, if people knew, they would say I was like R. Kelly, LOL.
Oh, Jesus.
Like,
He could tell how young she is.
He knew.
Yeah.
He knew she was underage. After this article was published, Ryan Adams went on Twitter and, gave one of those, I'm sorry to anyone I have hurt unintentionally, one of those fake ass apologies. The FBI got involved and actually investigated him because she's underage. And eventually they could not confirm that he knew she was underage, and because she had lied about her age at one point, there was nothing that they could do about it.
Right.
And then in 2020, Ryan Adams got sober. He apparently had been drinking a lot and doing drugs and things like that. So he got sober, and he issued another apology where it's just like, there are no words to express how bad I feel about the ways I've mistreated people. Mm-hmm. Is it enough? I'm like, has he changed? I don't know. I haven't seen anything since 2020 about bad behavior. So that's good. He is touring again. I know that he still is pretty shitty on Twitter. Like, he talks shit. He says, like, I think he has a whole thing with the singer from The Strokes. They like have a beef, if you will, online, but the guys from the Strokes they're not awesome either. So whatever. Like, it's just a couple of
who
bros
were hot, like 20 years ago, like, are fighting each other on Twitter.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I really, really hope that, like, he's staying sober and that he is.
Me too. Absolutely. Because that doesn't make you a creep, obviously. If you have an addiction issue, of course, get help. And
yes. But he's done a lot of really shitty things. I hope there's a road to redemption here, but he's still a creep in my book right now. So that is creep number 1.
Ryan Adams.
Wow.
Good work, Sonia.
Thank you.
Yikes. I did like his, did he do 1989, the Taylor Swift album? I liked that.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
I was bummed when I read these things about him. I take no pleasure in this.
No, and that's a good segue for me. We're going into Arcade Fire, which is a band that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I used to teach spin and other fitness classes, and they were one of my favorite go-to bands. And they formed in 2001. I thought they were all from Montreal. They're not. He's actually from Texas. He's an American. It was started by Win Butler he started it with his wife Regine. And let's just talk about the band. It was started in 2001. Their first album came out in 2004. They're an indie band. There's like at some point people used to make fun of them because there's like 20 people on stage. And they had just like over the top productions.
Yeah.
With their Reflector album, they had people show up in outfits, like in costumes. They're very earnest. They were very like progressive in their attitudes. Wynn made a big thing about they did a lot of he's into basketball. He's 6'4", and he has this pop basketball tournament in Montreal, and he would play it, and he won like the MVP one year when it was on CBS Sports, and this reporter went up to him and says, "Hey, you're the MVP. Like, what do you want to talk about?" He goes, "I want to talk about Canada and how great they are with their healthcare system." He reminds me of Ghostbusters with the accountant.
Lewis.
Yes, Lewis. They do
Who
their
does your taxes?
They do their own taxes, which I don't recommend. Anyway. Like he talked like that.
I love Lewis.
Yeah, and she's just like, "Okay, we're not doing that," because she's an idiot. She doesn't understand. Like, it's great to have people Anyway, these are also some of their activism. I mean, they're known for like lefty, progressive causes. They did two. His wife is of Haitian descent, so they did some concerts in Haiti, which is where she's from, in 2004. They've donated a lot of money there. They donated proceeds for Partners in Health. They've done the Wake Up Tour for Partners in Health. They've done a lot of work with Haiti, with all kinds of like lefty environment. You know, a lot of women's stuff and sexual assault kind of things, like a lot of like really positive things. And they had an album that just came out called We, and they're on tour right now. And
is it just W-E or is it like,
W-E,
okay, so it's not W-H-E-E-E. It's not we.
No, and it's not O-U-I, like we.
Gotcha.
Like French. No.
Got it.
And then the singer, and that's all I ever knew about this guy because I didn't really know who he was, but his name is Edwin Farnham Butler. He was born 1980. His family is Mormon. He was born in Rocky, California. And there's a huge bunch of red flags here.
Okay.
Just somebody like me, I go, he was Mormon. He lived all around the world. His parents would go to places, to recruit people. He lived a while in Texas. His father worked for Halliburton. He went to Exeter Academy. He went to Sarah Lawrence College, but he dropped out, and then he moved to Canada, and then he went to art school in Canada. I'd be like, oh no, there's something fucking going on with this guy. Like I said, 6'4", he plays a million instruments. His brother was in the band with him. He marries her, his wife, Regine, in 2003, and they win multiple Juno Awards and Grammys. And like I said, he kind of looks like a big dork, and you're sort of like, and she's on tour with him. Yeah. And anybody that's on the road with their wife, I'm like, oh, they're like Paul McCartney and Linda. Like they're right. You know what I mean? And
they are in love.
They're in love. And look, they are. I mean, they have their own way of, showing it. But turns out that, I'm sorry, I forgot to give my my sources. So Pitchfork magazine in the end of August, Marc Hogan spoke to 4 women, and they all they didn't release their names, but they all had people back up their claims and showed their screenshots and everything like that. So they backed up all of their sources. But it's Pitchfork, and we have all the links in the show notes. You can read this for yourself. Also, the BBC, of course, is Wikipedia, ESPN, CBS Sports, McGill News Quarterly. That was the college that they went to. They do a lot of stuff for McGill University and Global News Canada. But when this story came out in Pitchfork, these women, there were 4 women that were talking about between 2013 and 2019, that he had a lot of relationships with other women, and they tend to be like parasocial relationships and then into real life. And his thing is he would say to women, oh, my wife and I have an open relationship. Do they or don't they? that's on them. That's not for me. But these women would talk about, he would find somebody, he would say, oh my God, you're so beautiful, you're so interesting. And these are fans that he would find. They would show up at events. They would show up at art shows, and he owns a bar in Montreal. He and his wife are like the king and queen of Montreal. So wherever they go, it's like Springsteen in Jersey. Like everyone knows who they are, even if they don't like the music. And a lot of people like to make fun of people make fun of everything. Anyway,
true.
Some of these women are as young as 19. One of these people is somebody who's non-binary, so they go by they them pronouns. And I'm not going to name these because these are all aliases anyway.
Right.
So I'm just going to kind of keep it more of like a bigger story here. I was talking a while ago with somebody about the movie with Kate Hudson and Billy Crudup, Almost Famous.
Yes.
And Kate Hudson was 20 when she made that movie. And she's playing a 15-year-old groupie.
Yeah.
And we were all like, oh, that's cute. Like, she's just, this used to be a thing.
I didn't realize that her character was that young.
Yes. And she says it in the movie.
Oh my God, I totally
she says
blanked
15,
on that.
And then she's 16 and then she's a 17. Like her age changes, but especially based on the original material when they talk about the 70s and 80s, they had very young girlfriends. Rock stars had chicks, they had groupies, and that was a whole thing with rock stars. Like, they bang chicks. That's their whole, and we talked about this when we did our first Rock Creeps episode. We had Red Hot Chili Peppers, Motley Crue. Yeah. They all went through women. This is not a guy you would be like, oh, this guy is going to be. He went to Sarah Lawrence for Christ's sakes.
He's not swimming in pussy.
Yeah, he's not a poon hound. Like, this is not like.
Just that's a term that's just not used nearly enough.
No, it's not. He just is not somebody your radar would go off. And I don't mean to like cut him off the balls by saying that, but it's just like when I know now, like those earlier things I said would be somebody like, oh, he's probably sexually repressed, and he's probably somebody like, I'm doing all these things to seem cool to women, but it's also a way to get close to women. It's also a way they can drop their guard because he passes the one big test. He's tall. That passes a lot of tests. That passes a lot for us.
Yes. Once again, no disrespect to our short kings, but there's definitely I would say a majority of women like a man who's taller than them.
Right. And he passes that barrier. He's also successful and he's an artist. And he's handsome, ish. Whatever. He would text them. That's what we do nowadays. Or so he would tag somebody on Instagram and say, hey, I saw you at the basketball game today. And I think you were at my show last year, weren't you? You looked really familiar. And then be like, holy shit, it's Win contacting me. That's cool. And then he'd say, hey, I looked at your artwork on your Instagram and you're really talented and we should hang out sometime. And, when I'm 19 or 20, 21, I'm flattered. I'm like, wow, this person, I know he's married. I know she's on stage with him. I know that she tours with him. I know that they own all these, businesses together. I don't think like he's going to be a creep, that he's just wants some pussy and he's just like going for it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. There's this idea, this happens a lot, like men who are in relationships or married. I'm not going to stereotype. It's not all men. I'm just saying there is a certain type of man that when they're in a relationship or married and they think every woman wants to fuck them. Yeah. And so they're like, now I'm going to open up. I want to have an open relationship or I'm going to get a divorce and I'm just going to I'm going to be swimming in it. And it's like, no, what it is are these women are being friendly with you and they're comfortable with you because they probably think you're safe because you're taken.
Right.
And that you're not going to try to fuck them. So, I mean, it could be different for him because he is in a band that's very famous. So these women, maybe they do want to fuck him. But in general, like in the normal world, there's these dudes who, when they're in relationships or married, you feel safe with them. So you're friendlier to them because you don't have to worry. You feel like you don't have to worry about them.
Yeah, Jen Kirkman talks about that in her last comedy album. Like, I remember being young enough to think that married men were safe.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I used to too. I used to be like, oh,
Yeah.
he's married. He doesn't mean anything
Totally thought
by
that.
He's
Totally.
married with kids. He doesn't see me that way. And it's, no, that's not the,
Yeah.
yeah. And he and his wife have a son, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So he goes in, everybody goes into COVID, and then they're coming out of COVID, and everybody has their COVID records, and everybody's going on their post-COVID tours. And
Yes.
some people, like Eric Clapton, get COVID, and some people don't. But he's going on this tour, and he's touring with Feist, who's one of my favorite performers, and she's from Canada. I love her.
Yeah, she's great.
So this comes out at the end of August, and it's all these women and this one non-binary person. These are just the ones that came out, and there's been more
Yes.
that have come forward. And of course, where do you go? Reddit. That's a lot of people kind of go to start. But there's one woman who was like very big in the Montreal artist community, kind of dropped out of it because a couple of them, they thought they had a relationship with him. And he was really into sexting, and he was really into video sex, and he was really into like, okay, FaceTiming right now. Go and buy these vibrators, and I want you to do this right now and that right now. And then he would get off, and then he'd be like, all right, gotta go, bye. And then, yeah. So they felt
Nice.
used, and they felt,
Yeah.
and because they were being used, by the way.
Yeah.
That's what's
Yeah.
happening. And some of the women described like, I felt like I couldn't say no because then he wouldn't call back, and it's just this very lack of the boundaries were really strange. He's much older than them. Sure. I mean, 22, 23, that's absolutely, that's an adult, but he's in his like late 30s, early 40s. He is married. He's the father of a young kid. I mean, he's also
Yes.
the king of Montreal. Like, he's somebody where they live. He is a big deal.
Yeah.
And he fucking knows that.
Yeah, there's a power dynamic at play here.
There is. And I'm not going to go, like I said, you can look, we have the article in the show notes. You could type this up and look this up yourselves. But some of it's just like, for me, I was just like, oh, fuck you. Because he's just like, like at one point he said, oh, well, a couple of times a couple of women said, or one woman said, they're all people, sorry. A couple of people said, he would say, I'm coming over. I know where you're home right now. Oh, I'm going to come over. And one of them said, nah, I got an art show tomorrow. Don't come over. I'm busy. He came over anyway. And then he comes in, and then he's immediately like, push against the wall. Let's make out really hard, and I'll throw you on the bed. And then he was like, then they didn't seem like really into it. So I left. I'm like, yeah, you're 6'4". You're jumping all over, like shoving your tug down their throat and throwing them down the hallway. Like, that's not sexy. That's not what they wanted. It's like, it's
Also,
not.
they asked you not to come over.
Yeah. Like, oh, like he denies like they ever said no. He's denying like nobody ever said no. And he hired a PR person. The same. This person also worked on with Harvey Weinstein and some other.
Cool. Not a red flag right there.
Yeah. But he said all of his relationships were consensual. He said that, he and his wife went through kind of a rough patch when she had a miscarriage.
Yeah, well.
And that caused him and his drinking to kind of go out of control. That's part of the reason why he started asking people for sexual favors, but that their marriage was unconventional, which I would think means open at times. I don't know. But he says that he's been sober and he's made some mistakes, but he's going to try to move forward from this. But he still denies anything was not consensual.
Okay.
He's saying, he kind of doubles down like, no, all of that, every single one of those things, they wanted it. They wanted to do it. And he said that also, it's like, I've also, I've had depression, and my wife has been really helpful to me. He's going to AA, stuff like that.
His poor wife.
Yeah, Regine is sticking with him. And she said, he is my soulmate, my songwriting partner, and my husband, the father of my beautiful boy. They've been together for 20 years. She loves him, and she's going to stay with him, which is her choice, and which is,
yes, totes.
Totes her choice.
Hey, and relationships are super complicated.
Yep. She
for
loves
sure.
Him. And I'm sure she loves him. That's her choice.
Yeah.
They're touring around the world right now as we speak. They went from Canada. They went to Dublin, Ireland. Feist was touring with them. This is also what puts her in a strange position, because she didn't know this story was coming out.
Right.
She hires a band to tour with her. So she flies overseas with a whole crew, and she opens up for him, and then she reads the story.
That sucks.
And she's like, fuck, what do I do? So her first shows that she opens for him, she doesn't talk about it on stage, but she donates all the proceeds from her merch to women's causes,
That's awesome.
which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then she said she had to quit the tour. She's like, I just can't.
Yeah.
You know? And she feels terrible because that's her band that's out of the money.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
And I'm sure there were contracts involved too. So
Yeah. I'm sure that wasn't easy for her either.
no, that
But
sucks.
it sucks. But, she has, she just can't in good conscience, because I'm sure she's going to be asked about it everywhere she goes too.
Right.
Yeah.
She's doing the right thing.
Yeah. So this all happened. This is the end of just mid-September right now. It's not even been a month. So we'll see where this goes. It's hard. A lot of stations drop them, but not all of them. There's one station I know that I listened to that they haven't. I'm kind of like, did they not hear? I'm like, I don't know what it's going to be like in the future.
Well, at the same time, there's tons of artists and bands that are, you could still hear R. Kelly on,
And we've done an episode on R. Kelly. We did an episode on Elvis Presley. We've done an episode on lots of people who are super complicated. I mean, R. Kelly's just a piece of shit. I don't listen to his music, but
no.
Yeah.
Fuck
All right.
that.
So that's our second one. Sonia, let's take a quick break,
Yeah.
and then we'll get to our next creep.
Yep.
Sonia.
Yeah.
Left a good job in the city. Working for the man every night
and day. Such a good song.
I fucking love Tina Turner. I love Ike and Tina. We're another person who is super, super talented.
Yep.
But a real fucking creep, and we have to talk about this.
Such a creep.
And it's too bad, because also he's a human being. Everybody comes from someplace. And I learned a bit about him, and I was like, wow, that sucks, but got to talk about it. Here we go. Ike Turner. Izear, I-Z-E-A-R, Lester Turner Jr. He was born November 5th, 1931 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. He had kind of a peripatetic upbringing. He claimed to have been sexually molested as young as 6 by a neighbor lady, and then a little bit older when he was in early teens by another relative, by women. And he said that he associated sex with power at a very young age, and it kind of messed him up.
That's really sad.
This is not what he's known for, but it kind of gives you some of his traumas that he dealt with. He also saw his father be beaten almost to death
oh my God.
by a white man. He grew up in, pre-civil rights era South.
Yes.
And he was a musician. In 1951, he was a piano player, and he picked up the guitar. He was very gifted with music, and he could pick up an instrument and just be really good at it very quickly. And he was with some friends, and they went to Memphis one day, and they just picked up a song. It was called Rocket 88, and they paid $20 to just play the song. And it turned into this huge hit. Rocket 88, 1951 is considered, it's for Sun Records. It's considered one of the first rock song, if not the first rock song. There's sort of some debate about that. It's a very cool song. Ike Turner goes from there. He goes into different bands. He kind of settles in St. Louis for a while and is kind of the king of soul in St. Louis. Everybody goes to seek Ike Turner. And he is, at the time, and this is still in the 50s, he swears he never touched alcohol or drugs. He actually was kind of a tight ass about that stuff. And he had a band and he was a tyrant. Everybody had to behave and perform in a certain way or he beat them.
Oh my God.
He admits this.
Jesus. Okay.
In the mid 50s, in 1957, a girl comes in, and she would become the Tina Turner, but she was a singer. And she's kind of like Anna, and she's singing in the background in the audience, and then he kind of brings her on stage, and then he's like, she's rough, but I think I can do something with this woman because she's got something different. I'm sorry, let me get to the credits. So it's Ike Turner's Wiki, Tina Turner's I, Tina. That's her first biography, her autobiography. She wrote with Kurt Loder from MTV. The Daily Beast, Why I Beat Tina Turner.
Oh my God.
Yes, I'm not kidding you. Spin.com, they did an interview with him in 1985. People Magazine, we love People Magazine. Cheat Sheet, and Oprah Daily. We're just kind of going all over with this.
Yeah.
Ike, when he and Tina get together, she describes their relationship more like brother and sister, and he sort of does too. Like, they weren't very physically attracted to one another, but they're intense they had this magnetic artistic attraction. Like, she just thought he was a badass guitar player and a songwriter. And she liked the fact that he was strict. Like, he kind of, with everybody. And he thought her voice was just exceptional, and her dancing, which it was.
Yes.
And if you look at Ike and Tina Turner and you see clips of them, he's great. And she's like singing, and the dancing she's doing, like how she does both and not pass out.
She is on a whole other level.
Other level.
Yes.
At one point, Tina does River Deep Mountain High for Phil Spector, who was one of our creeps we talked about in the past episode. He has a whole episode to himself. This is in the 60s. And this song, they take weeks to put together. And it doesn't hit in America, but it becomes this massive hit around the world.
It's such a good song, too.
Great song.
So good.
Then they kind of have this career resurgence, like late 60s, early 70s, mostly in Europe. A couple of hits in America, but mostly it's in Europe. And then one day, 1975 or 76 it is, but they're touring in America. And Tina Turner, and it's in this movie, What's Love Got to Do with It?
Such a Angela Bassett in that movie.
Angela Bassett, and who plays her husband?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah. Angela Bassett is running against traffic, and you hear like this guitar, like, and she's like running into a hotel. And she said, this is based on a true story, that she goes to the hotel and she says, "Hi, I'm Tina Turner. I have like 36 cents. My husband and I had an argument. Can you take me in?" And what had happened is I could beat her up. And this was like the straw that broke the camel's back. She had enough. She was like done. And what happened in real life is it was in Dallas, and the hotel person, the manager, they recognized her. She didn't have a penny on her because she didn't even bring her purse with her. She just ran.
Yeah.
They called a hotel. They called a doctor. They put her in the nicest suite. They called a doctor, and then they put a security man at her door to make sure she'd be safe. Like, there are angels sometimes that just come into your life, like, because they were worried about her.
Yeah.
She got divorced and had to pay him off and had to start over again. And
such bullshit.
It's such bullshit. And it took a few years, and then Private Dancer. She had a couple of albums, but they didn't do very well. And then Private Dancer came out in like 83, and that's like her career had this resurgence. But the
album is dope.
It's dope.
Yeah.
But around the same time is she told her story, which is that Ike beat me, and I had to start from the bottom and come back up again. She had to do cabaret shows, and she had to take care of her boys, and it was starting all over again. And people and the thing is that it was rumors for years because Ike did this in front of people.
Yes.
Ike beat her in front of people. It did not happen just at their home. It didn't happen just in their hotel room. He had done this in front of people. So these rumors were out for years. She only said it because she wanted to say it her own way to set the narrative straight. Like, this this really happened. But this is how it happened. This is my story. And this is right. So immediately, this was early 80s, and people didn't talk about stuff like that then. It was a very, very big deal. And so the counter narrative is that, well, what does Ike say about all this? This is what,
such bullshit.
Which is bullshit. Like, I don't care what Ike has to say about it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. But like, people were like, well, what does Ike think? And Spin magazine by Bob Guccione Jr., that piece of shit. I got stories about him.
Yeah.
He was the editor at the time, and he said he felt like she was sort of leaning into that story a bit too often for her fame.
Oh, fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
So they found Ike, who was, and let me just tell you a few stories about Mike. I'll just stick with the 80s.
Yeah.
In 1980, a SWAT team raided his sound studio where he had a live hand grenade and 7 grams of cocaine.
Jesus Christ.
In 81, he was arrested for shooting a 49-year-old newspaper delivery man and accused the man of assaulting his wife and kicking his dog.
He wanted his $2.
Yeah, he did want his $2. He was accused. He was acquitted of assault. He was arrested and charged with conspiracy to sell $16,000 worth of cocaine in June of 85.
Jesus.
Yeah. He was arrested in 86 for cocaine possession and carrying a concealed handgun. He was arrested in 87 for trying to sell 10 ounces of cocaine to an undercover police officer.
I think it was, sorry. I was just going to say, I think it was the great poet Rick James who said, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Yes. And it is a hell of a drug, and it will make you do crazy things, for sure. Yes. And he was a drinker, and he had a lot of personal issues.
Yeah.
So, but it's all these people who even like Arsenio Hall had Ike Turner on his show and asked him, like, what did you think of like Tina Turner's movie? Like, I want to give you a chance to tell your story. And everybody's so concerned about Ike telling, like, did you not read like all the thing this guy has done? And all these people who witnessed him beat her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they want to, it's all about, like, he needs the road to redemption. People want to, like, help him, like, redeem himself or something instead of just, I don't know, holding someone responsible for their actions.
Yeah. You know, they want to get, yeah, exactly. I mean, he's been inducted into the St. Louis Hall of Fame. He's won Grammy Awards. He's been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He couldn't go because he was in jail at the time, by the way. Tina, over the years, has said she's forgiven him. Her Buddhism helps her. She's married. She lives overseas. She comes to America rarely. But when he died in 2007, she was like, good, because I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. He wore me out. Sure, you can make the claim that he helped make me famous, that maybe I wouldn't have, but he also took a lot from me.
Yeah.
He beat the hell out of this woman, and he did a lot of things to hurt people. And sure, he was very, very talented, very tormented. Absolutely. You could.
Sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But he died in 2007 at the age of 76. He was a rock and roll pioneer. He was very talented. He was also a very tormented man and acted like a real asshole sometimes and was very abusive to Tina Turner. So that's my second creep, Ike Turner.
Fucking creep. Good job, Margo.
Thank you.
I mean, the things he put her through and just, God, the terror she must have lived with.
Yes.
At the time. And then to constantly, like, you know, she puts out this album, it wins a shit ton of Grammys, it sells millions, she goes on tour, and then just people constantly still asking about him. Like,
years.
Fuck off with those questions. Like, she is here, like, killing it, and you're still like, I wonder what Ike thinks. Who cares?
That's exactly, yeah, exactly. And that's when I read that. It was in the Spin magazine, like that. Like she feels like she leans into that story just a little bit. Like, fuck you. You take a punch to the face, asshole, and then do a show, and then see how it feels. Like,
fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Both of them. You ready for our next creep?
I certainly am.
All right. Let's go to Morrissey. Sources: The Evening Standard, Far Out Magazine, The Guardian, Los Angeles Times, Rolling Stone, The Wrap, and of course Wikipedia. Morrissey is a English singer, songwriter, author. You probably know him from The Smiths. They were huge in the 80s.
I might cry, I might sing to you, Sonia.
I love Margo's impression.
My Morrissey.
Well, Morrissey's music is defined by that voice that you just heard. Very distinctive lyrics with like reoccurring themes of like emotional isolation and dark humor and anti-establishment stuff. That was his jam. And he's always been pretty controversial. He is a hardcore vegan, and he's very outspoken about animal rights and criticizing the royals and, prominent politicians. That's not a big deal. Like, you can have your opinions on those things, but he also supports far-right activism, and that makes him a fucking creep. So let's start at the beginning. For Stephen Patrick Morrissey was born May 22nd, 1959. He grew up in the Holme area of Inner Manchester. I did not know this. So in that area, when he was a kid, there was something called the Moors murders there. Do you know what this is?
Mm-mm.
Okay. 5 local children were killed, basically.
Ew, yikes. Yeah,
I'm like, that's a terrible... I mean, how scary when you're a kid and people, like children around you, are being murdered. Those crimes had a huge, lasting impression on him, and later would become the inspiration for the lyrics for Suffer Little Children, which, if you're super into the Smiths, I'm going to know. Sounds just like that.
I'm scared of the killers.
Heaven knows. I'm miserable now. He excelled at athletics. He was very into sports, but he was also a very unpopular loner at school. His librarian mother got him interested in reading. He was very into like feminist literature. He loved Oscar Wilde. But he just school just didn't work out for Morrissey, for little Stephen Patrick Morrissey. So he ditched school. He worked a series of jobs. He worked as a clerk for the civil service. He did a little dabbling in a career in music journalism. He wrote for the weekly music review, The Record Mirror. And he wrote a couple of short books, one about the New York Dolls and another one about James Dean. Mm-hmm. He formed the Smiths with Johnny Marr in 1982, and this is when he really started to get that image that we would know Morrissey for, like kind of sexually ambiguous, he would say he was celibate, and that band was critically acclaimed, definitely had a cult following.
Yep.
I knew lots of people.
How dare you say I go about things the wrong way?
That's a good song. Like,
great song.
The Smiths were never my jam, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm more The Cure than the Smiths, but that's okay. Like, the Smiths, it's fine. I definitely knew people that were super into the Smiths, and like it was like the emo kind of. Mm-hmm. I think goth.
Live 105.
Yeah, so the Smiths and The Cure were both like pretty popular at this time. So the band was popular. They broke up in 87, and that's when Morrissey went on his own, and he put out so much fucking shit. I could sit here and list, there's like a million albums that he put out. He wrote like an autobiography. He wrote a novel, and tons of albums. So very popular dude, but he's still a creep. So let's get into it. as early as 1986, he was saying fucked up shit. So he told in an interview, he said that there was a, quote, black pop conspiracy that was keeping the Smiths out of the charts. He said that reggae is, to him, the most racist music in the world.
Oh, no, man.
He said it's absolutely total glorification of black supremacy.
What?
Yeah, and that he said, I detest Stevie Wonder. I think Diana Ross is awful. I hate all those records in the top 40. Janet Jackson, Whitney Houston, I think they're vile.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, he deserves to be on the list just for that.
Yeah.
So he's, like I said, very vocal advocate for animal rights.
So he can't dance.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's totally what it is. Morrissey can't dance. Very into animal rights. We love animals too, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I'm a vegan too. So but I don't act like this about it. In 2010, he was discussing the animal cruelty that goes on in China. And he said, you can't help but feel that the Chinese people are subspecies.
Oh, fuck.
Come on. Fuck off. The next year, there was this massacre in Norway, which, by the way, shit like this happens in America monthly. Mass shootings do not happen in other countries. 77 people were killed in this massacre in Norway. And Morrissey's like, well, that's nothing compared to what happens at McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken every day.
Off. Oh,
Exactly. Fuck off. It's not the same
false
thing.
equivalency.
He's such a dick. He has said that Lady Gaga is nothing new, that her style is fraudulent and the exact opposite of erotic. He calls Madonna McDonna, like instead of McDonald's. And he says Michael Bublé is famous and meaningless. I'm like,
Well, that one.
you could disagree or not, or agree, whatever. But I'm like, that's some assy shit. He says, I see no difference between eating animals and pedophilia.
I do.
Yeah, I do just a little bit. Just a little.
Yeah.
He came to the defense of Kevin Spacey after he was very credibly accused of sexual assault by, we did an episode on Kevin Spacey. The number's higher than you think. Let's just say that. He then denied that he defended Kevin Spacey, but then the newspaper that he did the interview was like, no, you did, and played the audio recording. So they had the receipts. He said that the women who came forward against Harvey Weinstein, they're liars. He said they play along, and then afterwards they feel embarrassed or disliked, so they say these things.
Fuck you and I
Fuck you.
too.
So in 2017, he started
Besides
No one.
barnyard animals. I mean, who else?
Besides animals. I mean, I don't think he even likes himself. So
I don't
probably just
either.
animals. Yeah. In 2017, he started supporting this anti-Islamic activist, Anne Marie Walters. And in 2018, he endorsed her. She started a new far-right party called For Britain.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and he'll wear his For Britain pin on his stuff, and he tells anyone who will listen basically that British identity is disappearing because of immigration.
Him and Eric Clapton can hang out.
Yeah, he says it's very difficult to return to England because although I don't have anything against people from other countries, the higher influx into English, the more British identity disappears. The country's been thrown away.
Oh, wow.
It's so shit. This is like the MAGA Trump bullshit that we get here in America as well, by the way, this kind of talking points. And he says this ignorant shit all the time. He says that rapes and terror attacks have gone up in Britain because of immigration. It's the same thing here in this country. When things happen, they talk about they start talking about the borders like border safety. It's never about, the truth is most crimes here are committed by like white men. Like, he's just such an asshole. He once said that Adolf Hitler was left wing.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Fuck off. And then this is one of my more recent favorite things that Morrissey has said. He's someone said that he's, racist, and he's like, the word is meaningless now. Everyone ultimately prefers their own race. Does this make everyone racist? Yes, everyone prefers their own race. Fuck off, Morrissey. Fuck off. And then I want to thank my friend and listener of the show, Jennifer, because she shared a link in our podcast group that is someone who's keeping track of all of Morrissey's concert cancellations.
Oh, please.
He is notorious for this, by the way. So Morrissey's actually coming to Oakland in I think a couple of weeks. So Facebook's been showing me Morrissey ads because Facebook fucking spies on you, and Facebook now knows you were researching Morrissey recently. So I looked, and all the comments in the ad are maybe he'll show up this time, or maybe he'll put on a full show this time, because he's notorious for canceling his shows, half-assing it when he does perform, or doing abbreviated sets. So far, he has canceled 318 shows.
Jesus.
He is either canceled, postponed, and never rescheduled, or he's done abbreviated sets 318 times.
What a pussy.
Seriously, I think, and Jennifer wrote on the Facebook page, she's like, I've had tickets twice to see Morrissey, and I've never seen him.
Holy shit.
Isn't that bananas?
What's his problem?
He's an asshole.
Is that what the press release says?
Sorry, I couldn't do my show.
I'm feeling very asshole-ish.
I'm an asshole. My Morrissey sounds like Fozzie Bear. Sorry, everybody. That isn't good. So that is our creep, Morrissey.
What an asshole.
He's such an asshole.
Ugh.
What an asshole creep, right? Just an asshole.
I love it when it's an asshole creep, though.
Me too.
Well, that's our show this week. It's a little different than what you normally get. Normally, we have a creep and then we have a non-creep, but we had a quartet of creeps today. Once again,
we had some non-creeps in there, though. We had Feist in there, and we had Tina Turner.
Mandy Moore.
Creeps.
They're not creeps.
Yeah.
They're
not creeps.
They're lovely.
They are lovely.
Please feel free to send us your suggestions for creeps and non-creeps using social media. We love it when you use the Annie Potts GIF. We got one from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Or you can use Lewis from Ghostbusters. They don't do they do their own taxes, which I don't recommend. But
Lewis is so great.
if you like the sound of our voices, we also have a show called Dorking Out where we dork out about movies. And Sonia, what are we going to be dorking out about next?
Our next episode will be Vision Quest from 1985.
Yes.
And our good friend Adam Brisky from F This Movie is going to be joining us for that one. We always have an amazing time when Adam joins us. And I think this is going to be a fun one.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, soundtrack's so good.
All of you that are waiting for stickers, please be patient. I will be getting those out to you. And Sonia, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me at thesoniashow.com, The Sonia Show on Twitter and Instagram, and the TikTok, where I'm there to ruin it for the kids. Where can people find you?